A lot of people go out looking for an interesting subject, and one of two things happens. They don't find anything interesting, so they don't end up taking photos, or they find an interesting subject and simply take a photograph of it, and it tends to look more documentarian than artistic or creative. The approach that I will describe for you today will help to free you from this and see the world compositionally. I will encourage you to look for lines, shapes, angles, colors, and things that you can make compositions out of so you can take photos anywhere. You are no longer tied to having to find interesting subjects, and subject will not be the focus of what you go out looking for. You will see the world in pieces rather than as a whole. My first tip here in this process is getting closer. The tendency when taking photographs, when you're out and about, is to photograph something and give it context, allowing the viewer to know what they're looking at and where the photo was taken. Like everything in photography, this does come down to personal preference, and it can also be function as well. Different types of photography serve different functions. So you might be needing to show the context and show where you are. But I would argue that for something to be artistic or creative or be deemed as art, we should be showing it in a way that abstracts it, or at least shows our specific and unique point of view on the scene. My intention when photographing is to abstract things. And of course, this is, again, personal preference, but my aim is to show people something that they didn't originally see or notice at all. And to me, that is what we are meant to do as artistic people. That's our job. When I'm photographing, I am isolating things and getting closer because I want the viewer to look and have to look twice and try and uncover what it is that they're actually looking at, where it is, why someone would take a photo of this, and be asking lots of questions. So my advice here is when you are approaching a scene, you can of course take that context shot by all means, but get a little bit closer. Something as simple as getting up close can completely change the way you photograph, and you will see so many different components of the scene by getting up close, getting in there. If you are looking at scenes sort of in your everyday life, most of the time people aren't really getting that close up to a building or, I don't know, a sidewalk. They're just simply walking past it, and us as photographers, we're the ones that are noticing all those like little details. So I really invite you to start looking for them and capturing them. Part 2 of this process is simply to break down the scene. So I call this chunking it out. So I see so many photos online that are really amazing, and, you know, they're of a scene, it's got context, it's landscape, and I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. And I can see myself like searching within the photo for other like cool elements that would have also been good photos. And I am at a point now in my photography where I can approach a scene and I'm like, this is like a gold mine. There's so many things here. And the reason that I love shooting like this, and I urge you to take this on, is because it will afford you so many more photos, so many more compositions in just one scene or one location. And I think that we need this when we're photographers who are busy. We don't get many chances to go out and photograph. The more photos you can take, you know, the better, the more you can maximize where you are. And then also for people who are frequenting the same places very often, it's, you know, it can get a little bit boring. You're like, how many times can I photograph this house or this park or whatever it is? So being able to get in closer, which was our first tip. And then our second tip, breaking the scene down and isolating parts of the subject. This helps to get more photos out of one scene or an area that you have revisited many, many times. I am always looking for things like color because that affords me a lot of compositional opportunities. And then I'm looking for things like, cracks in the road, pipes on the walls, things that create symmetry or have like interesting lines and can be used in the composition. So you see here, it really doesn't matter what I'm photographing. You can give me anything or put me anywhere and I will still photograph in this same way. And I'm really not bothered about what the subject matter is. And this is very democratic. It's very freeing, and it's just going to completely allow you to photograph wherever you are and not be so tied to, I photograph this type of thing in this genre, which can be really debilitating sometimes for us if we're not able to get out and get to those things or have the time to do that style of photography. So this is a way that I have been able to constantly photograph wherever I am with whatever I have. It's just totally foolproof. This way of isolating parts of a photograph will also help you to train your eye for small details, which I think is great for any photographer. So here I am just always looking for the smallest part of the scene that is really interesting to me, and I will go there first and then I'll work my way through it, as opposed to doing the usual camera to the eye and just photographing the whole scene sort of front on as you would see it if you're walking past. That is exactly the opposite of what I want to do. I want to get in there and I want to show you it like piece by piece. Tip number 3 is to embrace the angle. Now we're going to talk about something that requires you to move your body a little bit and kind of like zoom with your feet. So you've gotten in closer to your scene, you have broken it up into chunks and isolated things. And now I'm asking you to really use your body and move around, because we can sometimes get stuck in the same spot and from the same angle as a photographer. We can maybe be a bit nervous when we're out shooting and just quickly take a snap and walk off. Use your body to your advantage and move just to the side and come from an angle. This is really great because it abstracts things and gives like a totally new perspective. And it's something I do a lot. Someone actually commented on it once, and I was like, I didn't realize that I do that. And I always come off to the side slightly because I want it to kind of be askew and I want it to look abstract, which maybe you don't want that. Maybe you like a cleaner sort of Wes Anderson kind of front on crop. This is definitely a technique that I have brought over from doing commercial photography, doing product photography at home. I sometimes stand up on something to, be above it, or I just have to get really creative. Same as when I'm shooting people for fashion stuff, I have to move around a lot. And if the, scene isn't working, it's really up to me and the pressure is kind of on. So it makes you be really creative and really fluid and just move around a lot. And I think with this type of more personal photography, I noticed that the more I moved around, the more I would find like what works for me. And especially with buildings, I would take a photo straight away and then I'd find like the third or fourth one was the one I liked because I'd actually taken the time to circulate the building and then find the angle that was the best or, the most creative. All of the tips that I have shared with you today are something that you might just try once or twice and they might stick, they might not. Photography is a very personal thing, but when we are looking for our style and to develop things like composition, it's important to try new things and experiment a little bit. So I urge you to give these a go. I would also urge you to seek out other photographers and how they photograph, research their process and their tips, because you might just be like, wow, I never thought of that. This is how we develop a unique style that becomes synonymous with us. And this is definitely how I've done it. Photographer Craig Whitehead has carved out a very distinct and absolutely amazing visual style for himself. He uses things like environment, color, and foreground to create really striking compositions, and his work is amazing. I've been rewatching his course on Skillshare and absolutely loving it, and I think that you guys will really enjoy this one on composition too. Photographer Craig Whitehead's course, Street Photography, Composition, 5 Techniques for Standout Photos, is really helping to broaden the scope for my own photography, and it's a great insight into his personal process, which is really fascinating. Craig is so successful and he hosts many workshops. So having the chance to learn from an industry leader like Craig at my own pace on a platform like Skillshare has been so valuable and enjoyable. You can learn from multiple photography legends on Skillshare though. People like Andre Wagner, for example, or Dan Rubin cover things like street photography and travel photography. You might want to start a YouTube channel this year though, or learn video editing. Whatever it may be, Skillshare has thousands of courses to offer from short to long, beginner to advanced. If you are serious about investing in your creativity, building a new positive habit, or just trying something fun, I highly recommend Skillshare. The first 500 people to click my link or scan this QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Hopefully, this process will help you to slow down a little bit and see the world piece by piece and see all the different compositions that are out there. I think photography is a great tool for mindfulness and going out and enjoying the beauty that's in our world, even if it's something very, very small. So let me know how you get on with this. And please comment below if you have particular tips in this area or any resources, things that you have found that have been really helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video.